For money, I work as a pumpkin farmer at a small market that sells pumpkins, squash, gourds, and more. My boss usually helps me out, but on this particular night, I was by myself. I was doing my usual routine of washing pumpkins when I decided it was time to leave and drive home. I turned off the lights to the market, and it was near pitch black all around me. To keep myself from getting bored, I usually like to whistle. However, behind the market, there's a large and deep forest that I try to avoid because it has a creepy vibe. As I whistled a specific tune, something from the woods copied my whistle exactly, doing it at least a dozen times. I thought that was odd and figured it might be a mockingbird or something. So I decided to actually talk and said, "Hello?" To my surprise, whatever it was replied back, "Hello?" Now, just to preface this for anyone who thinks it could have been a prankster, this forest is incredibly dense. It's nearly impossible to walk through, and it's dangerous too, with a steep hill right beyond it that drops down nearly 80 feet. What made it even creepier was how it didn't sound like any other person. It sounded exactly like me, and it wasn't just an echo. It kept repeating "hello" over and over, nonstop. I ran to my car and left because I had no idea what it could have been. On my way home, I noticed two red dots about 300 feet in the distance, crossing the road ahead of me at an incredible speed. At first, I thought it might be the backlights of a car, but I quickly realized it wasn't. I saw the thing disappear into a forest far to the left of the road. Keep in mind, I'm a big skeptic. Usually if I heard this story from someone else, I'd think they were lying, but I can't stress enough how much I'm not making this up. It wasn't just me. My whole family had been experiencing unsettling occurrences. One night around 3 a.m., my uncle stepped outside to throw out the trash. We're night owls, so someone being up at that hour wasn't unusual. But as he stood there, he felt a prickling sensation of being watched. He shook off the feeling, blaming it on the hour. Not long after, my mom began finding things out of place in her car. Objects moved or missing. Once she discovered a beer bottle that didn't belong. She had always kept her car unlocked, trusting the neighborhood. But after that, she started locking it just in case. As for me, I stayed on the third floor. My room had a window facing the front, and at night, I'd hear odd things. Faint footsteps creaking on the stairs leading to the front door. Those stairs always groaned, so you could never mistake the sound. It wasn't too alarming since one of my uncles often came home late, but something about those steps felt different. One night, after watching a horror movie, I decided to sleep in my grandma's room. I made a little tent on the floor, but I couldn't settle down. My grandma's room had a monitor for the security cameras, and close to midnight I saw him, a tall man lurking near the edge of the camera's view. I hoped I was imagining things, but he didn't disappear. I quickly checked our family group chat, but everyone was either still out or in their rooms. I glanced back at the monitor. He was gone. The empty driveway stared back at me, and dread settled in. Now, for the day, everything escalated. About a month later, I was home alone. I didn't go to school that day, and everyone else was at work. It was a quiet afternoon around 2 p.m. as I scrolled through TikTok, not expecting anything unusual. Then I heard it, a man's voice and the faint hum of a car engine. At first, I wasn't scared. It was broad daylight. Curiosity made me look out the window. There, parked in our driveway, was a golf cart, and a man in a blue shirt stood beside it. He wasn't tall, but he didn't look friendly. My family's cars were gone, and no one was supposed to be home. The longer I watched, the more uneasy I felt. I called my mom, who was working at the hospital, but she didn't pick up. I dialed my stepdad next, asking if anyone was supposed to come over. When he said no, my dread turned to fear. I told him there was a strange man in our driveway. He told me to keep him updated, and soon after my mom called back, telling me to call the police immediately. The dispatcher instructed me to hide, but first I needed to check the doors. I rushed downstairs, and the front door was locked. But when I got to the back, my stomach dropped. It was wide open. I slammed it shut and locked it, but just as I turned to head back upstairs, I heard it. A sharp, desperate rattle of the doorknob. Someone was trying to get in. I glanced back and saw him, a tall figure, like the man I had seen on the camera weeks before, pulling at the door, as if he knew I had just locked him out. I bolted up the stairs, heart pounding, and locked myself in my parents' room, hands trembling, as I spoke to the 911 operator. The minutes felt like hours as I waited for the police to arrive. When they finally came, they searched the house and the property, but found no one, not the man in the blue shirt, nor the tall figure at the back door. It was as if they had never been there. The police reviewed the footage, but it didn't show anything conclusive, just shadows where they shouldn't be. To this day, I have so many questions. Who were those men? Were they working together, or was it just a horrible coincidence?